everyone, wherever you happen to be tuning in from, whether it be from the office or from home, from Singapore, Thailand, or Hong Kong. Welcome to Salesforce Live Asia. We have an incredible show in store for you today, full of inspiration, learning, and entertainment. You'll hear from our local leaders and trailblazers, be inspired by our very special guest Simon Sinek, and you'll be entertained at the end by the talented Nathan Hartono. So sit back, relax, and get ready as we take a look at how the future works.
With disruption all around us, we look back to learn and look forward to succeed. As we write this new chapter, we can see what truly matters.
For us to survive in the future, we have to reimagine ourselves.
How do we think about moving forward?
How do we give them all the power they could possibly need to make that happen?
Trust matters.
Trust is the currency that we operate in.
Doors are open. Doesn't get any better than that.
Customer success matters.
A single source of truth allows us to tie the threads in that human connection.
It has never been more important to maintain that human touch.
I do believe a lot of that has to do with Salesforce Customer 360.
Innovation matters.
If you would have asked me a year ago if we could have transitioned home, I would have thought you were crazy.
Your digital headquarters is more important than your physical headquarters.
We're going to rebuild all of our technology once again to become Slack first.
That's magic.
We can be successful from anywhere.
Equality matters.
I want generations of kids that are coming up now to realize that they can belong in these tech spaces as well.
We have been able to create transformational change within our community.
The earth matters.
You've got to go net zero. I've got to go net zero. We want to be a model. We want to show you how you can take your company to be fully net zero and renewable.
It's important for organizations to shift the story.
Business must be a platform for change and an essential source of innovation, here and now.
Trailblazers have led us forward into new ways of working, new ways of seeing the world, getting together safely.
DreamPath is an amazing way to reconnect, no matter what curveball this pandemic throws us.
I just want to stay in this moment forever.
And wowing our customers. Looking forward, this new chapter is the beginning of something bold and exciting.
Mark, let's go over the news here.
Brett Taylor is being promoted
Co-Chief Executive Officer of Salesforce.
Thank you.
And it will be written by the Trailblazers.
We're using technology to make everyone feel special. That's the key.
It's us as a community. We're going to make it. We're going to be okay.
Because when we look back to learn, we can move forward to succeed. Together.
It's time to change the world again.
It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the Senior Vice President and General Manager of ASEAN, Sujith Abraham.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. The last 12 months have continued to be a time of change. And what has continued to ground me is the experience of working alongside all of you. Today, we're here to motivate you, to educate you, and to inspire you. But most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you to our customers, our partners, and our employees. Thank you, too, to our trailblazers everywhere. We wouldn't be here today without all of you and the role you play in our communities across Asia. In the face of tremendous change, you innovated, you adapted, you transformed your businesses and careers. We continue to be inspired by your efforts and your leadership. You're the reason we're here today, bringing our vision for how the future works to the region. As we continue to navigate 2022 and beyond, our purpose in the region stays the same: to inspire and enable every organization in Asia to do well and to do good. This year, we expect to hit more than $26.4 billion in revenue. And we couldn't have done it without you. You've helped us grow. You've made us a leader in philanthropy, a leader in culture, and a leader in innovation. In fact, you've made us the world's #1 CRM for the 8th year in a row. And thanks to you, we're the fastest growing enterprise company ever. You've joined us in doing well and doing good. Because like us, you lead with values each and every day. For 23 years, values have been our North Star. We put trust first in everything we do. We empower customer success, we're driven by innovation, and we believe in advancing equality for all. This year, we unveiled a fifth value, sustainability. Because when we step up for our communities, we have to step up for our planet. We're proud to be Team Earth, and we want you all to join us. Let's roll a quick film.
Space, the boundary of human achievement, the new frontier.
It's not time to escape. It's time to engage. It's time to plant more trees. It's time to build more trust. Time to make more space for all of us. So while the others look to the metaverse and Mars, let's stay here and restore ours. Yeah, it's time to blaze our trail. Because the new frontier, it ain't rocket science. It's right here.
Now is the time to pledge Team Earth, to take actions that build trust and make a difference. This is how we can build a better future. This is how we can do right by our most important stakeholder, the planet. That starts by embracing business as a platform for change, so we can serve all stakeholders, not just shareholders. We're big believers in giving back. It's what we've done for 23 years. It all started with our 1-1-1 model. We committed 1% of our time, 1% of our product, and 1% of our equity to giving back. Look how far we've come since. $500 million in grants, over 6 million volunteer hours logged, and now with 1t.org, we've pledged more than 43.5 million trees globally. This is about serving all stakeholders, not just shareholders. This is about doing what's right for our customers, our partners, our employees, communities, and the planet. At the end of the day, we're more than just a business. We're also an economy of trust, powered by 15 million trailblazers worldwide. We built this economy together, and in a year of ongoing disruption and change for us, the impact we've had on job creation has been a real highlight. Globally, our Salesforce economy will contribute to more than 9 million new jobs and 1.6 trillion in economic impact by 2026, according to IDC. In Asia, that translates to almost 4.2 million net new jobs and 378 billion in new business revenues by 2026. Your success is our success. And as we continue to look to how the future works, we're thinking about what today's trailblazers need and innovating. We're in a new world, and we're rethinking everything to help all of you achieve success from anywhere. And to share more on what this looks like, please help me welcome Cecily Ng.
Thanks, Sujith. You said it perfectly. We are all in a new world. We are navigating new channels, answering to new regulations and expectations, and learning new skills. In the face of hardship and change, we are choosing resilience. And this isn't just a new chapter for business, this is a whole new playbook. And that's why we are all here today. We are looking at the how behind the wow. How to do well and do good amidst so much uncertainty. And at Salesforce, we believe we have to transform for the world we are in. And that means wowing customers with Customer 360, building a digital HQ for our work from anywhere world, prioritizing safety so we can all get together safely, and committing to net zero now. This is how the future works, and this is a playbook any company can follow. And it all starts with the customer experience. In this day and age, every business has to be customer first. Every business has to create experiences that wow. And that's why we created Salesforce Customer 360, so businesses have a single source of truth for connected customer experiences. Salesforce Customer 360 powers every interaction that you have across sales, service, digital marketing, and e-commerce. So whether your customers are meeting you in person or getting your emails or chatting with a service agent on the phone, you have one platform that wows at every touch point. And we have spent the past year completely reimagining Customer 360 for the world of today. Because now we are not just meeting customers where they are, we are also meeting employees where they are. In our work from anywhere world, our headquarters have to be digital. And that's why we are bringing Slack into every product across Customer 360, so your sales, service, marketing, and commerce teams can work flexibly from anywhere. Slack is where the future works. It is a digital HQ for businesses in every industry. One incredible trailblazer that is embracing this approach is Tokopedia. Tokopedia is an Indonesian technology company with a mission to democratize and empower commerce through technology. Tokopedia empowers millions of sellers and users through marketplace and digital products, fintech and payments, logistics and fulfillment, and Mitra Tokopedia. The company recently merged with Southeast Asia's leading mobile on-demand services and payments platform Gojek to form GoTo Group, the largest technology group in Indonesia. Despite two different work cultures coming together, the process has been smooth. Both companies adopted Slack before the merger and shared a digital-first mindset that helped teams to blend effectively and collaborate remotely. Let's take a look at Tokopedia's Customer 360 and Digital HQ in action.
We'd like to introduce you to Ivan, a loyal customer of Tokopedia. Ivan earns Diamond membership through frequent use of the Tokopedia platform. He always uses Tokopedia as a first stop for his shopping needs and also to pay his monthly bills. Today, his postpaid mobile phone bill is due. As usual, Ivan makes a payment using the Tokopedia app, but in doing so, he receives a notification that no payment has been recorded at this time. Ivan goes to the Tokopedia help page and raises this issue via the chat help function. A case is created and routed to an available Tokopedia Customer First Squad agent. This is the Tokopedia customer service team. The Salesforce Customer 360 platform provides the Tokopedia Customer First Squad with all required information in one place, easily accessed on the platform. The service agent is able to see Ivan's profile and details of the case raised. On the same platform, agents can also find detailed information about orders, invoicing, delivery status, and initiate claims processes if needed, all within a single application. In this case, Salesforce Service Cloud is integrated with Tokopedia internal applications, helping to improve the productivity of the Tokopedia Customer First Squad. From articles accessed on the Knowledge Center, the Tokopedia Customer First Squad knows that to solve this issue, they require information from the digital partner, the telco provider. The Customer First Squad initiates a conversation via partner chat with the telco provider in the service console, which is integrated with the Tokopedia partner portal. All historical conversations related to this case can be accessed within the same page. About the same time, Sarah, an employee of Tokopedia, wants to find out what's happening with her recent top-up and billing transaction. She didn't receive notification that the payment was complete. As an employee, Sarah uses Slack every day to collaborate with her teammates. Tokopedia provides a help channel in Slack for employees who have questions. So Sarah initiates a chat with Tokopedia Care in Slack. The Tokopedia Care Slack workflow collects all information required from Sarah, starting with case category and invoice number and leverages a Slack workflow to create a case in Service Cloud, which is routed to an available agent. Using Service Cloud, a member of the Tokopedia Customer First Squad receives the incoming case and provides updates back to Sarah via the help channel in Slack. From the details Sarah provided to the Tokopedia Care Slack bot, the Customer First Squad knows she also has an issue with postpaid mobile payment with the same telco provider. The Customer First Squad needs to investigate this further. While waiting for a response from the telco provider, the agent escalates this case to the internal Tokopedia development team to conduct an investigation. The Tokopedia development team is able to confirm there is a technical issue for postpaid bill payments, and they focus on fixing this issue as soon as possible. An article in the Knowledge Centre reminds the Customer First Squad to build customer trust and confidence by updating customers regularly on the status of their cases. Ivan is updated via chat and Sarah is updated via the Slack Tokopedia Care channel. Both are advised that their initial payment will be refunded and that they will be advised to make the transaction again once the issue has been solved. At the Customer Engagement Hub, Tokopedia Care's Command Centre, the Tokopedia Customer Care team notices there is a spike in incoming cases. Standard Salesforce dashboards are great to provide insights on case spikes and trends to help the customer care team make decisions and take actions to solve challenges immediately when they arise. Even when customers are complaining about Tokopedia without mentioning Tokopedia or Tokopedia Care, the customer care team are able to identify the complaints with the Command Centre license provided by Salesforce. For Tokopedia, understanding its customers and what drives their purchase decisions remains key to its success. By combining case trends with Customer 360 information on Salesforce, Tokopedia has been able to connect information from vital parts of the customer journey, from the moment a customer visits its platform to the completion of a transaction. Equipped with this valuable insight, Tokopedia has been able to serve up relevant information to its customers to enrich their experience on its platform at each step of the journey. Feedback is also collected in real time, enabling Tokopedia to improve on its platform and optimize the customer experience. In this way, Tokopedia keeps the customer at the center of its operations, delivering an optimal experience every single time.
When it came to the implementation of Salesforce, Tokopedia's objectives were to optimize assisted channels like email and chat messenger, as well as self-service and Slack integration. This connection improves the internal organization's customer feedback journey by making it more frictionless and easy to track. With support from Salesforce, Tokopedia completed the implementation of Service Cloud in 4 months, achieving its goal of near zero downtime and gaining a 360-degree view of customers and all the interactions. A truly inspiring organization. Now, when we think about how the future works, we also know that safety is essential. Our employees, customers, partners, and communities trust us to keep them safe, whether they're at home or back in the office or attending events. This past year, we launched Safety Cloud, our system for scaling COVID-19 testing and managing safety protocols. Because we knew businesses needed a single source of truth for testing and vaccine verification. But this is truly a global endeavor. Everywhere we go, we are putting safety at the forefront. But we are not just keeping safety top of mind, we are also making sustainability a priority everywhere. That's why we are helping businesses in every industry get to net zero now, and why we created Net Zero Cloud. We wanted to enable net zero as a service, from investor-ready carbon reporting to supply chain transparency, so our customers could take action and drive change, and we are the proof. Net Zero Cloud accelerated our own reporting from 6 months to 6 weeks. This is how we support Team Earth by harnessing business to spark change, By coming together to build a better future, it is all made possible by our Customer 360 platform. We are the only company capable of bringing sales, service, marketing, commerce, and IT together on one digital-first platform with your customer in the center. So businesses can deliver the personalized experiences their customers expect. And this starts with an engagement layer at the top, Slack. Slack connects your people, processes, and systems across the entire Customer 360. Next are the industry solutions built on top of Customer 360, fast-tracking digital transformation across industries like retail, travel, transportation, and professional services. And we've got 12 industry clouds and counting. This is how we deliver not only the Customer 360, but the Patient 360, the Subscriber 360, or even Member 360. And then there's Einstein, strengthening the Customer 360 with AI and automation. 151.7 billion predictions a day. Absolutely amazing. All of this built on Hyperforce, our public cloud infrastructure. This is how we can power success for customer everywhere, because we know our customers are using different tools and processes for build and delivery. With Hyperforce, your apps, integrations, and customizations will be compatible across every platform. And this is one standard software foundation for your entire tech stack, and it's all Salesforce. And it doesn't stop there. Hyperforce powers the Customer 360 and is now live in Singapore. And by the end of this year, we'll be live in 16 regions around the world. Hyperforce offers data residency that supports your needs, so whatever your compliance needs, you always have a platform that meets the highest level of trust in every market. Hyperforce is the engine driving innovation across Customer 360. This is how the future works. Wowing customers with Customer 360, building digital HQs, making safety a priority, and making net zero a reality for all. So much innovation, and I would love to show you now just how this comes together for another trailblazer, Ninja Van Group. Ninja Van is a tech-enabled logistics company providing supply chain solutions for businesses of all sizes right across Southeast Asia, with a mission of connecting the region to a world of possibilities, one delightful delivery at a time. To share the power of the Ninja Van Customer 360, I'm joined today by co-founder and Chief Product Officer, Bo-Xian Tan. Bo-Xian, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
I want to ask you a couple of questions today. First one, let's start with growth. Managing regional expansion from a Singapore base over the past 2 years has really made you a work-from-anywhere type of business. How have you built resilience across your regional team and enabling you to develop new opportunities?
So in terms of resilience, I think thankfully for Ninja, this is something that has been built into our DNA from the day we started. So going back to our early days, we were running a delivery service with a couple of really old vans, and these were constantly breaking down. So what we found was that we frequently had to scramble out of the office, right, drop whatever we were doing, just so that we can complete the deliveries for our customers. Looking back now, I think this might not have been the best use of our time in terms of building the business. Our early investors were also probably rather concerned about this as well, right? But this, in a way, I think really shaped our character as a company, right? That we do what it takes to get things done for our customers. And even to this day, we still maintain that same expectation that no one in the office is above doing deliveries or sorting parcels at the warehouse when needed. Beyond this, we've always recognized ourselves as a young team, right? That we had a lot to learn then, and we still do now. What this means is that we may not always have the right answers on hand every time, right? But we trust one another to make the best decision possible, right? Everyone will commit to doing their part. Even if it fails, we don't point fingers, but we focus instead on what we can learn and how to make things right. So when COVID happened, right, it did bring us a lot of challenges, in particular disruptions to our operations. I think what kept us going was really about maintaining an open mindset about the challenges we face, right, the potential opportunities that we saw, right, as well as the ability to be decisive and execute fast, right, on the various initiatives to put us in a better position for when the markets eventually reopened.
And how has your digital transformation really helped with these opportunities and your expansion in the region?
So I believe there's two key things, right, when trying to manage remotely. First is the ability to get access to timely and accurate information so that we can make better decisions, right? And two, because we can't make all the decisions from a regional HQ, right? It's then about how we can empower the local teams to make decisions, right? And essentially decentralize the decision-making process, right? For this, while we had our monthly reports and dashboards, we still relied heavily on travel in the past, right? We believe that it was important to get on the ground, talk to people, not only to build trust and confidence in each other, but also to get more color, right, to complement the numbers that you see in the reports. So when travel became restricted, digitization became more of a focus for us, right? We couldn't travel, so we needed to solve for how we can get a better picture of how each of our markets were doing without having to overburden the local teams with more reporting and more meetings so that we maintain the sense of ownership for the local teams. I think our decision here, right, to invest in Sales Cloud and migrate our sales processes onto the platform was a good example of how we managed to achieve this. In doing so, we've not only unlocked the standard benefits such as optimizing and automating processes, but I think what's more important is that we've managed to get a more comprehensive view, right, of our sales team's performances in each of our markets while minimizing the reporting burden. So this not only helped the regional team, but also made the local teams feel even more empowered, right, and motivated to drive their own initiatives and improvements. In terms of results, we've also seen a corresponding improvement across our key sales metrics, such as a 3 to 5x increase in sales activities per agent, or a 3x improvement in our conversion rates. While most of the credit here should go to the salespeople and managers who made this happen, I do believe that digital also had a big part to play in this, right, especially in terms of ensuring the right information is made available to the right person at the right time.
Now, you have also transformed Ninja Van as a truly service-led organization, and you even have a very cool name for your service-led initiative, the Fantastic Service Recovery Engine, or FSR, that runs on Salesforce Service Cloud. Can you share more about that?
Right. So the FSR initiative is, if I may put it simply, right, about making unhappy shippers happy, the emphasis and focus being on the unhappy shippers. It's an organization-wide initiative to achieve excellence in how we support our shippers, right, and it encompasses how we recover from any kind of service failure, right, and minimize the hassle for our shippers. For this initiative, Service Cloud was a suitable platform for us to build upon due to its customizability and ease of integration into our internal systems and applications, such that we are able to really empower our service agents to handle issues more effectively for our customers. As an example, our service agents in the past had to rely on multiple tools just so that they can get the right information, handle their internal communications, and follow up on their customer issues. This was very manual intensive and resulted in a lot of manual errors. Right? Now they're able to have a comprehensive view of a customer's order history, right? Perform all the necessary tasks and actions on the Service Cloud platform itself. As a result, right, we've seen vast improvements across most of our key service quality metrics, such as our agent response times, resolution speed, and most importantly, our customer satisfaction scores, where the improvement ranges between 10 to 30% across our countries. Ultimately, this is also one of the many initiatives that I think really reflects our company's commitment and something that we'll continue to invest heavily in.
Thank you so much, Bo Xian, for sharing your story, and thank you so much for joining us today. Sujith, back to you.
Thanks, Cecily. Now, something that makes every Salesforce experience special is the chance to speak to the people who are challenging the status quo for the better. We call them trailblazers. You can also call them learners, innovators, or leaders, people who leave a path for others to follow. We now have 15 million trailblazers around the world, spanning 90 countries, driving innovation, transformation, and change. Each and every day, trailblazers are inspiring others to learn, connect, have fun, and give back together. And I am thrilled to be joined today by one of our incredible trailblazers. Please welcome Jia-Ying Li.
Thank you.
Jia-Ying, thanks so much for being with us today. Could you start by telling us about your trailblazer journey and what role did Salesforce play in that journey?
Sure. So my trailblazer journey started when I joined Workato as a marketing associate. I joined the tech industry after years in a traditional brick-and-mortar retail industry with no professional training or experience in the marketing or in the tech industry.
That's incredible.
I had been working as a supermarket buyer, but I wanted a more definite career path and an opportunity to learn new skills that would be relevant for years to come. I had been interested in working in tech, but I didn't know where to start or whether it was something that I could do. So Workato enrolled me in a professional conversion program to familiarize myself with the Salesforce platform, which Workato uses extensively. So the PCP program was designed by Salesforce and a Singapore government agency called Workforce Singapore, focused on upskilling people on Salesforce. After the course, I was immediately able to use my new skills in my job and to keep acquiring more skills in different technologies. I've also been able to help train my colleagues who had not been previously trained on Salesforce to help them develop an institutional understanding and knowledge of the platform. So learning about Salesforce gave me a head start in the technology industry and piqued my interest in building my technical skills. Today, I've transitioned into a people technology analyst role where I help our HR team build and monitor automations that make work easier and help us achieve our goals faster. So I've built Slack bots that help our office management team safely bring our employees back into the office in the aftermath of COVID. This bot has been rolled out at Workato globally, which is extremely exciting because I never dreamed my work would go that far. I've also built a couple more Slack bots that allowed employees to put in their expense claims in other applications, all without leaving Slack. I've also mentored a few of our employees in creating their own Slack bots for various functions, such as a birthday bot that collates all the well wishes and sends reminders on birthdays, as well as a referral bot where employees can also keep track of the candidates that they've referred for an interview.
That's incredible. You know, I hear so much coming through creativity. You're now in a different area with the HR team and driving automation and scale so many things. Now, I imagine there's a lot of people hearing this, and I'd love to know, what advice do you have for people who are thinking about transforming their careers? Because it may be a bit scary and they're trying to figure out where to take the first step.
Sure. So there's two little nuggets of advice I would offer. So first, don't stop learning. Consider formal learning opportunities from Trailhead, from company-organized courses, or even online courses, because every additional opportunity to learn is knowledge that can keep for life, even if you change careers or industries. I was very lucky that my company, Workato, supported me in my quest to never stop learning, from signing me up on the Salesforce Professional Conversion Program to having really awesome colleagues that answered any and every questions I had when I was struggling. And the second little bit of advice is that once you've learned something, teach it to someone else, because this helps you to better understand the concept you just learned, and you also can help pay it forward by helping someone else who's just starting out on their own learning journey.
Really returning the favor.
Yep.
Jiying, it has been absolutely wonderful to speak with you today. And we have a little surprise for you. In recognition of your incredible career change and for all that you do in supporting the other Trailblazers, I loved your Pay It Forward mention. We want to say thank you and award you with a golden hoodie. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do a thumbs up for the camera.
Thanks, Sujith. Such an inspiring story. As Sujith mentioned, at Salesforce, values are our North Star. And this year, we unveiled a fifth value, sustainability. Because when we step up for our communities, we have to step up for our planet. In this climate emergency, we bring the full power of Salesforce to accelerate the world's journey to net zero. We developed in-house technology to get to net zero, and now we're sharing those tools with our customers and our partners, and taking many other steps to reverse climate change, create a net zero planet, and help business operate sustainably.
What is evolution really but innovation in slow motion? Nature has always solved her problems with endless patience and astounding ingenuity. In the technology business, innovation is impatient, the challenges are pressing, change the only constant. The nimble are rewarded, those who lose a step perish. Climate threats are accelerating at the blistering pace of technology. We don't have the luxury of millennia. We need innovative thinking here and now. business must be a platform for change and an essential source of innovation. And business must drive and support the ecopreneurial thinking our planet so desperately needs. Through innovation, education, and mobilization, we will continue to thrive together as a planet, as a species, as people. Caring for this planet that has forever cared for us is simply the next great step in human evolution.
At Salesforce, we're using our business as a platform for change by living our core values, including our commitment to sustainability and net zero. Likewise, Accenture is embedding sustainability into everything they do, creating both business value and sustainable impact, enabled by technology and human ingenuity. Accenture specialises in information technology services and consulting, and is also, of course, part of our Salesforce partner ecosystem. Here to tell us more is Stephanie Govias and Naomi Rajendram from Accenture.
Thanks, Wendy. Hey, Naomi. Great to have you with us, Naomi, and thank you for taking the time out to talk to us on such an important topic.
You're so welcome. I'm really excited to be here today.
I know we both share a passion for considering the future of our planet in all we do. So I'd love for us to start our conversation today talking about why sustainability is so important to Accenture.
That's a really great question. At Accenture, our purpose is to deliver on the promise of technology and human ingenuity. And there are few things that have greater promise than sustainability. It unlocks new opportunities for our clients, our partners, and our people, as well as the places where we do business. Sustainability for us really spans across environmental, social, and governance, from transitioning to a zero-carbon economy to human rights and even inclusion and diversity. So we have made sustainability one of our greatest responsibilities, not just because it's the right thing to do, but also because we believe that it will create one of the most powerful forces of change of our generation.
And as you know, Salesforce is in lockstep with Accenture here. We truly believe that business is a platform for change and that sustainability is at the heart of that. And that's why, as Wendy mentioned, we've incorporated sustainability as one of our core values as of this year. I also believe that Accenture has set a goal to achieve net zero emissions by 2025. How does your partnership with us support these goals?
Oh, you just gave me the tingles, Steph. It's a huge goal. Since beginning our environmental journey in 2007, we have continuously set bigger and bolder ambitions, and we are dedicated to reducing our environmental footprint. We're aiming to solve the biggest problems our clients and the world face to tackle climate change. And these ambitions mean that we require increasing innovation and technology to bring scalable solutions and the transparent data that's accessible in real time. We have had a long-standing relationship with Salesforce. I mean, you and I have worked together for close to 8 years. So we have a strong understanding of each other's businesses. And Salesforce is an important part of our technology landscape for sustainability. So we are implementing Net Zero Cloud globally, and importantly, right here in Southeast Asia. We are digitally transforming our current sustainability technology landscape and bringing the data and analytics needed for our leadership to make the right decisions to support our sustainability goals here in region. Partnering with Salesforce helps position us for the future for not only Accenture, but also our clients.
And you know, the best part about our partnership outside of working with you, Naomi, is exactly this. As a mum, and as I look to the future of the planet for my son and the future generations, I want to ensure that what I'm doing at work and how I'm contributing is in line with my values. However, achieving net zero, I know, can be quite daunting for businesses to get to. So tell me, what are some of the things that Accenture are looking to do, and what advice would you give businesses in Asia to get started on their journey for this important milestone?
Great question, huge question. And because I'm a consultant, I'm going to break it down into a little framework.
Love your frameworks.
There are 3 ways I would advise businesses to get started. Firstly, know what sustainability means to you. Sustainability can mean so many different things to so many different people. If net zero is your goal, then what are your current emissions? Do you even know? Do you have access to that data? Number 2, set appropriate targets based on science. This can take time, but there's nothing wrong with starting small and building as you go. This truly is an area where every little bit does actually count. You can even identify the quick wins and put an internal price on carbon to focus the minds and drive innovation. Engage your whole team in making immediate reductions and in developing plans such as for systemic change to reach your goals. Number 3, track your progress. At Accenture, we're big believers in using data-driven insights to help drive more changes across sustainability. And remember, consumers and customers are changing. They're now shopping with their conscience. And if you're not able to demonstrate your ability to go climate neutral, then you may find it harder than ever to attract new customers.
Love your frameworks, Naomi, as always. Thank you for joining us and for sharing your insights today. And now I believe Wendy's in the studio with some very special guests.
Thanks, Stephanie. Now, we are thrilled to bring you this next session. Most of us have experienced the importance of being able to bounce back from setbacks. But did you know that building resilience in your organisation can have a positive effect on the bottom line? In this era of uncertainty, resilience has become more important than ever. So how can we all embrace resilience as a platform for growth, both personally and in business? Now, we have 2 incredible guests joining us today for this discussion. First of all, our very special guest, Mr. Simon Sinek. Simon is an unshakable optimist. He believes in a bright future and our ability to build it together. He's been described as a visionary thinker with a rare intellect, and he's devoted his professional life to help advance a vision of the world that does not yet exist. A world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning inspired, feel safe wherever they are, and end the day fulfilled by the work that they do. Simon is the author of multiple best-selling books, including Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, Together is Better, and of course, The Infinite Game. I'm sure you are all as excited as I am to hear from him. I'd also love to welcome Chin Yin Ong, who is the Chief People Officer at Grab. She leads the people operations, Grabber technology solutions, and corporate real estate and security teams to build positive and personalised experiences for all Grabbers to thrive. Chin Yin is a trained optimist. She believes that optimism is a habit many of us can build. And to moderate this discussion, I'm delighted to now hand over to our Senior Vice President and General Manager of ASEAN, Sujith Abraham.
Thank you, Wendy, and welcome, Simon and Chinyin. It is so wonderful to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Sujith.
Today, we want to explore this concept of resilience and as a platform for growth, and how having both personal and organizational resilience can drive greater fulfillment and success. Now, resilience has never been more important to me than over the last 2 years. I mean, personally, I moved my whole family from Hong Kong to Singapore, and there's all the challenges that come with that. And for Salesforce, the resilience of our people continues to humble me as we have consistently showed up to support our customers and help them grow across the region. Simon, you and I were lucky enough to have a conversation in October last year, and it feels like so much has changed again, even since then. And here at Salesforce, we took a risk a couple of months ago to get 5,000 people together safely in New York for our kickoff. It was pretty incredible to see so many colleagues again in person and safely. But not only that, it was also traveling there safely with Singapore Airlines, chatting with colleagues on the flight, and then coming back and realizing how much that trip has changed us. It honestly made us feel so much more connected. I'd love to start with asking you what you're seeing that companies are now doing to bring back that sense of connection.
Well, I think that everything you're talking about is consistent with what I'm seeing across the board, that those first meetings after a year to 2 years of complete lockdown and isolation from our colleagues and coworkers is proving to be more emotionally powerful than I think most people expected. And what I'm seeing consistently happen is they're leaving more time for people to just be together. You know, if remember conferences used to be sort of like, you know, speaker, 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 presentation, presentation, awards, awards, dinner, speaker, speaker, presentation, awards. And then you go to bed and, you know, if you're lucky, you can like hit the gym in the morning. And what I'm seeing now is like a couple speakers and then long gaps. And then a couple presentations and then long gaps and dinners. And the great irony is that's how we should be doing conferences all the time. Because the value of the conference is not the stuff on the stage. The value of the conference is always the people that come together. And so like so many lessons we've learned throughout COVID about the power and importance of relationships that we only unfortunately recognize when they were taken away from us, I'm really seeing companies double down on trying to reinforce and help rebuild those relationships, especially for new employees, when they're coming back to these conferences.
Yeah, Simon, you're absolutely right. Even the gaps, the processing time, we're seeing the engagement at the office with the drive-bys, all of that has changed. It's been incredible. Chinyin, if I could ask you something similar, what have you seen change over the last 6 months, and what are you doing at Grab to start bringing back that sense of connection?
So the Omicron wave actually really hit Southeast Asia in the last 6 months, and that's where most of our team is based, right? And some of our countries have only started emerging from it. So interestingly, we did quite the opposite of what Salesforce did. We actually flew our leaders out to the markets instead of bringing the team back into HQ. So our executive team planned trips starting probably late last year to visit the markets, to reconnect with the people in their own zone, right? And also with our merchant partners, with our consumers, to consciously rebuild what ground truths are really like for the people that we serve. Some other leaders were really keen to be part of those trips, so we welcome them. So we have little teams going to different markets and talking to our people and really hugging them, like Simon said, and having a lot of dinners and engagement with them. I think this role modeling is really important. With that, we are starting to see that the countries in the teams in the countries are actually coming together more, rebuilding a lot of the social bonds that have weakened. We are taking, honestly, baby steps because we do want to balance the need for connectivity with the flexibility that our team really wants. This whole problem of inertia is something that is difficult to get over, but we're hoping that, if we can help people remember how fun it is to be together, the commute will then be totally worth it.
You're right about the inertia and the momentum. Whether you're going out or you're coming together, either way, it's that change, that pattern interrupt that we all need to remind ourselves of the human connection. Simon, last time we had the opportunity to have a conversation, we spent some time talking about leadership and the infinite mindset. And I feel that having that infinite mindset remains a really critical part of how we can develop both personally and organizational resilience. So for those of us in our audience who may not be familiar with this concept, maybe you could kick us off by grounding us on what having an infinite mindset means.
Yeah, for sure. The concept is based on these definitions from a philosopher and theologian from the mid-1980s named Dr. James Carse. He proposed that there are two types of games, finite games and infinite games. A finite game is defined as known players, fixed rules, and an agreed-upon objective. Football, cricket, for example. There's always a beginning, middle, and an end. And if there's a winner, necessarily there has to be a loser. Then you have infinite games. Infinite games are defined as known and unknown players, which means you don't always know who all the players are, and new players can join the game whenever they want. The rules are changeable, which means any player can play whenever they want. Can play however they want, rather. Any player can play however they want. And the objective is to perpetuate the game, to keep the game in play as long as possible. We are players in infinite games, whether we know it or not. There's no such thing as winning global politics. There's no such thing as winning education. You can come in first for the finite amount of time you're at school when we agree upon the time frame and the metrics, grades, but nobody's declared the winner of education or the winner of careers. And definitely there's no such thing as being the winner of business. But when we listen to the language of so many leaders, it becomes abundantly clear that they don't actually know the game they're playing in. They talk about being number one, being the best, or beating their competition. Based on what? Based upon what agreed upon metrics, objectives, or timeframes. And this is a problem, because when we play with a finite mindset in an infinite game, when we play to win or be number one in a game that has no finish line, there are predictable and consistent outcomes. The big ones are the decline of trust, the decline of cooperation, and the decline of innovation. And so adapting to an infinite mindset means playing with the right mindset for the game you're actually playing. Play with a finite mindset if you're playing a game of football, because it is a finite game. You need the right mindset for that. When you're playing an infinite game, you need to play for the game that you're actually in there as well. And business is definitely an infinite game.
Yeah, Simon, I remember in our conversation, one of the things you pointed out was how important courage is, because we're measured in quarters and so forth. So
yeah,
it's not easy, and I think we're constantly being reminded of that. You know, Chinyin, I read a recent blog, your blog actually, where you shared recently on leading with optimism, and you made points about intentional prevention by training the body for greater resilience. Is that your basis for developing an infinite mindset?
I strongly believe that to a great extent, the world, the way we view the world really affects our lives, and in turn, it affects what happens to us. So many companies these days have great cultural values. And my thought was that for every virtue, there are actually usually more than one side to the coin, usually two, sometimes more. So if we want to live out the positive possibilities in life, we need to train our minds to look at world differently, right? So some people, like Simon, may be born with that innate ability to be optimistic, and whilst others like me who are more born like a worrywart, we need to consciously train our minds as we train our bodies. So a healthy mind, like a healthy body, needs training, nourishment, and rest. So what I did was I experimented on myself. And I think to a certain degree it's worked. I feed my mind with positive podcasts. I exercise regularly. I spend time on hobbies that make me happy. And I found a way to sort of stamp out negative thoughts. I'm hoping that because it's sort of worked a bit on me, more people can try to build this positive habit. And I think through that, the world can be a better place.
So Simon, I have a couple of questions. I think, just listening to Chinyin talking about putting some of these things into practice, what are you seeing leaders do to practice these things and putting that infinite mindset? Say, we have an outcome in mind, but getting there isn't always easy, right? We know that we want to be resilient. I know one of the things you talked about, Chinyin, was not conflating your job with who you are as an identity.
Yes.
Simon, how do you see, how did both of you see great leaders? I know you touched on it a little bit. What are some of the things, Simon, that you see great leaders doing to practice and get better at this?
Well, I think number one, and we saw this is one of the lessons that came from COVID, I think, was that very human practice of empathy. When COVID first hit, a lot of leaders, whether they were effective or ineffective leaders prior to COVID, they picked up the phone and called their people and said, "Are you okay?" And that's a very important human quality that I think it goes directly to building strong, resilient teams. Here's an example of empathy in the workplace. Somebody walks into your office, this is fairly average, walks into your office and says, your numbers are down for the third quarter in a row. We've had this conversation before. If you don't pick up your numbers in the fourth quarter, I don't know what's going to happen. That's fairly normal. Here's that same situation injected with empathy. Hey, your numbers are down for the third quarter in a row. We've had this conversation before. Are you okay? I'm worried about you. And when we start to see people as human and we leave behind sometimes these narratives, and by the way, we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of forming narratives about other human beings, whether they're true or not. They're lazy, they're stupid, they don't care, whatever it is. And then we treat them that way based on our narratives, and that's all we can see. We basically, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And worse, if we treat them that way, they may destroy their morale, and lo and behold, they actually become the thing that we think they've become. But empathy is a powerful thing. Why is someone's performance down? Yes, maybe they're lazy. It might be true. Or maybe they have troubles at home that we don't know about. Maybe somebody's sick. Maybe they're in a job that they're poorly qualified for and they need more training. Maybe they haven't had any sleep. Maybe they're stressed out. We just don't know. And so I think one of the things that builds resilience in human beings, quite frankly, is when we feel seen and feel heard, that we know that someone views us as a human being, which means we don't feel like we're going through our stress alone. And it's that sense of community, camaraderie, and healthy tribalism, which is what a good corporate culture is, quite frankly, where we feel that someone has my back. And that is, I think, not what only builds resilient individuals, but definitely contributes to building resilient organizations.
Simon, I think you take that one step further in building that muscle, because there is this quote from your book, The Infinite Game, that I've often reflected on. I think this really puts things into practice, which is to live our lives with an infinite mindset is to live a life of service. And I've heard you talk about that fact that resilience can be enhanced by solving problems through service, and that we can grow ourselves by helping others. Can I ask you to share a little bit about that?
So, there's a great irony to human beings as a species. We are social animals and we actually need each other. And all the best feelings, whether they're selfish or even, or help others, they actually come when we do things for others. And very often it's not easy. In fact, sometimes it's not even fun. Ask people how you knew your relationship was wonderful, how you knew you were in love. And it's the desire to sacrifice your own comfort for another. Ask people if they like having kids. I mean, it's freaking hard work. I don't know anybody who sort of enjoys the work of having kids. Ask them if they think it's worth it. They say 100%, because we're making these sacrifices to our own comfort, to our own freedom, for the benefit of another human being. And the fact of the matter is, whether we like to, we can debate it, it's actually not up for debate. These are biological and anthropological imperatives that our own sense of fulfillment, our own sense of purpose, looking back and saying, I lived a life worth living, meant that we did something for someone else, and we willingly sacrificed our own interests, our own comfort, our own energy, so that others may gain. And this is the great thing about human beings. And when we learn to live a life of service, which doesn't mean being a martyr, it doesn't mean, twisting yourself in knots and, taking all the heat for everyone. I think I'll tell you a quick story of somebody who made that mistake. I know a young leader. She's wonderful. She's a student of leadership. She wants to be a great leader. And every night she sent her people home on time, sort of 5 or 6 o'clock, because she never wanted them to have to suffer their private lives for work. And then she would stay at work every single night till 11 o'clock, finishing everybody's work, right? Here's what happened. They became completely demoralized and stopped caring about their work at all, because she just did their work for them. And so they lost the joy of seeing the fruits of their own labor. Meanwhile, she destroyed her life and lost all her energy. Versus putting them in positions and saying, I believe in you, I trust in you, let's see what you can do. Here's responsibility, I give you responsibility, which is way more powerful. So sometimes we can overdo service, so the point of martyrdom, and actually it backfires. But finding that healthy balance is a very, very powerful thing, and it is the source of joy and fulfillment.
And Chinyan, I know Grab's mission very much along the same lines is founded on the concept of serving others. How do you break that down in your personal and professional life? So
personally, I really have 3 episodes in my life where I found serving others actually healed me. In my late 20s, I went through a really difficult personal period. And my best friend then said, look, you've got to stop thinking about your own problems and you've got to start helping other people, because that's going to help you. So I took time off. I worked in an NGO outside of Singapore until, honestly, money ran out, and I came back and I had to work. The second episode was, really when 9/11 happened. And I think that struck all of us, in different ways. And how do we help people? How do we heal the world? And I think during that period, I decided to train my mind to be a lot more disciplined and tolerant, and maybe a bit more empathetic, by being a vegetarian, right, for a year, to deprive myself of something and to be able to give back to other people in other ways. Professionally, I have to say, Grab's mission to serve the underserved was one of the key reasons why I took a leap of faith many years ago to join this really small startup. I remember my very first work trip to Indonesia, and I almost immediately paid in kind when I met our driver partner then, who picked me up, and he figured out that I worked for Grab because I was going into one of our small offices then. And he told me, without any prompting, how grateful he was that he no longer needed to choose which child to put to school. I mean, these are the real life stories that we Grabbers have the benefit of knowing and hearing, and it really keeps us grounded. And to honestly stay with a company like Grab in spite of the many great challenges that we face, because we truly believe that we're here to serve. And professionally, because I've been given the chance to do a lot of interesting things, I've been asked to join different boards and stuff like that, but I only chose to serve in non-commercial boards because I personally really found that to be able to give is much more rewarding than to be able to receive.
What continues to surprise me about the current generation, the newer companies we see out there, is how much has shifted to being mission driven, and how much purpose is where the idea started. Something is going to be solved, some problem, and then everything else follows, right? And it reminds me of an old adage that somebody said to me is, if you enjoy what you're doing and if you enjoy the mission, everything else will come to it. And I love
Definitely
that about
true.
what you all have done and have changed dramatically. And having come back into the region after so many years, it's amazing to see what you've been able to do.
Thank you.
Simon, I've heard you say many times along these same lines that culture drives profit, and having a culture of resilience will drive more innovation, more engaged teams, and longer sustained results. But building a resilient culture is something that I think many leaders, including myself, grapple with, especially in the current environment that's changing, and we can't put our fingers or get our arms around it often. And if I think back to our last conversation, we talked a little bit about the courage, and I cannot emphasize this word enough, the courage to lead. And you put so many different dimensions of that. For us at Salesforce, trust is our number one value. And I know as leaders, trust is a risk that we have to take in order to build that culture. I would love to hear more from you around the importance of trust in relation to leading our people with courage.
So trust is the essential fabric of human relationship. I've never met a great leader who says, "Prove to me why I should trust you." It's quite the opposite. Leaders have to earn the trust of their people, which means they have to take the risk to trust first. You said it. And the great irony is when we trust people, they tend to rise to the occasion. There is a company in the United States called Barry Waymiller. It's a large manufacturing company, multi-billion-dollar manufacturing company, owned by a guy named Bob Chapman, And Bob bought a company, another manufacturing company, that the trust was very low, very poor. Management didn't trust the labor force. The labor force didn't trust management. Nobody trusted each other. It was really a very, very broken company. And when Bob moved in, on the very first day that he owned the company, he came in and made some sweeping changes. So, for example, the way a factory generally works is, there's a clock that says when you show up to work, and there's a clock that says that when you leave work. There's a whistle that tells you when to start work, when to have lunch, when to take your break, when to leave work. If you want to call your family and say you're going to be home late, you have to ask permission to use the payphone. If you need any supplies, you have to go to the locked cage and ask the person working inside to give you supplies. And Bob saw that, and he compared that to back office, sort of the all the accounting and sort of all of those functions, which is if people come and go whenever they want. If someone's going to be late, they pick up the phone, call their kids and say, I'm going to be home late. If they need supplies, they go to the supply cabinet and they take out whatever they need. They don't ask permission. They don't have to sign it out. And Bob said, why do we treat people differently simply because one group has a college education and another group doesn't? Just because they're more educated doesn't mean they're more or less trustworthy. And so he came into this factory, and without making any pronouncements, he got rid of the time clocks, he got rid of the whistles, he got rid of the payphones, he got rid of the supply cage and just put the supplies on a shelf, and he asked for nothing in return. And of course, the standard fare is, well, we have to have the whistles, otherwise people will be irresponsible. We have to put the cages, otherwise people will steal. It just didn't happen. Because when you treat people with trust, they act with trust. When you treat people without it, guess what? They act without it. I know a large one of the professional football teams, one of the NFL teams here in the United States, and the CFO of the team told me this story where they built the mother of all juice bars inside the practice area. I mean, it had the best of everything, and those juices were free for all the players, but the rest of the employees weren't allowed to have a smoothie. And guess what? They had massive problems with theft. People were stealing bananas and, protein powder and who knows what they were stealing. And he came to work one day and said, this is ridiculous. They're all employees. They're all a part of the team. Anyone can have a smoothie anytime they want. Guess what? This theft disappeared. People tend to act the way we treat them. And so when we treat people with trust, they tend to hold on to that trust. And it's the leaders who have to take the risk to trust first.
Chinyan, you in your environment have different segments, similar to what Simon has been talking about. And, we think about that in terms of a multi-generational workforce. Have you seen or experienced a shift in the courage of your teams or the trust they have in leadership?
In this day and age, trust really has to be earned, and I think it's even more true now than ever. And to earn trust, you must first give trust. Exactly what Simon has said, right? The Gen Xers like us. Okay, we're showing our age, but we used to be a lot more used to hierarchical leadership. Anything the boss says goes, right? And that's even more so in Asia. Today, leaders who are boomers, Gen Xers are finding that, leadership practices that they have observed and learned previously from their old leaders may not be applicable in leading the Gen Ys and the Gen Xs. So what we've learned really is that we have to be a lot more collaborative, especially when you hire people who are way smarter than you are. The courage to be authentic, to be real, to have good intentions is really critical to success of being a leader these days. The good news is, all of us can be a lot more open of who we really are. We can be very open about not having all the answers. And it really becomes the qualities that you have as a person, those, first principles approach in decision making and that genuine curiosity and care for people that will shine through and have people want to follow you. And picking up from what Simon has shared, I'm going to go back to the company and to the organization and look for those, whistles and the cages, because I'm sure they still exist in many of our companies. What are those whistles and cages that we've put in place? And I think it's time to get rid of them.
And I think you said something really important, right? This group of incredibly smart people, getting them to thrive, it's a test of us, right? As leaders, to be willing to let go, put trust. All these things come together, and I think that's what's cultivating these incredible teams that we have. And it takes a lot of effort. Simon, maybe to close out our discussion, before we take some questions from the audience, I was listening to an interview you did recently where you talked about what it means to live an infinite life. And you shared an example of a conversation you had with Richard Branson. Can you share a bit about that, and help us understand what the crux of that was?
I was sitting at a dinner and by luck got to sit next to Richard Branson. And over the course of dinner, I leaned over to him and said, can I ask you a question? How should we judge your life? Like, what did you do at Virgin? What did Virgin do, or which Virgin company is the one that you want us to look back and say, you lived a life worth living? How should we judge your life? And he sort of got a little bit annoyed with me, sort of got a little bit sort of testy with me. And he sort of leaned in and said, don't you ever judge the quality of my life by anything I've ever done at Virgin. He says, if you want to judge the quality of my life, judge me by the quality of my children. And his kids are remarkable. They're good human beings that were raised to serve and do good in the world. And you really get a sense that Branson understood one of the reasons he's probably such a successful entrepreneur is he did not define himself by his work. He defined himself as an entrepreneur. He defined himself as a rabble rouser. He defined himself as a rebel, as a creative, as a father, but he never defined himself by the work. And I think this is a huge mistake. And I see it, quite frankly, mostly amongst senior people, which is they so cannot distinguish between who they are and what their work product is, that when they retire or if they lose their job, they actually have an identity crisis because their entire life has been defined by their work or the success of their work. It's just a very, very dangerous place to find yourself when you're at the point of retirement or if you lose your job. And so it was a great wake-up call that we are defined by what we give to the people around us.
Yeah, it's incredible. I can imagine when you reframe something like that, it helps you realize what might be holding you back from taking risks, healthy risks, right? Because you're too afraid to fail and you associate your identity with it. Mm-hmm. And markers like, whether it's children, your family relationships, these are the things that really matter in terms of the mark you've left on this world. Now I'd like to go and take some questions from our audience. Wendy, what do we have in queue from the audience that's they're wanting to ask Simon about?
Sujith, we've had some fantastic questions come through for Simon. This first question for Simon is from Tenny in Singapore, who asks a really good question. Simon, what words of advice would you have for the introverts out there who are aiming to get into leadership?
Let's first define the difference between an introvert and an extrovert before we can answer the question. It only sometimes has to do with how socially competent somebody is. I know extroverts who are socially awkward. I know introverts who are very socially functional, very socially adept. I like Susan Cain's definition. She wrote the book Quiet, which is she talks about energy, where an extrovert wakes up every morning with no coins, and every social interaction they have, they get a coin. At the end of the day, they feel rich. An introvert, at the end of when they wake up in the morning, they have 5 coins, and every social interaction they spend a coin, and by the end of the day, they're depleted. So I have a big personality. You can tell I'm pretty gregarious. I'm actually an introvert. For me to do stuff like this, for me to go out, is actually very, very exhausting. I want to go out for dinner, and then I want to come home and get into bed. Extroverts go out for dinner, and they want to go out afterwards, right? So both have advantages and disadvantages in a business, and it has nothing to do with the quality of leader you will make. What makes you a good leader is that you exhibit the qualities of a good leader, that you view your responsibility to see those around you rise. You learn the skills of leadership, like listening, like empathy, like how to have difficult conversations, like how to give and receive feedback. You get good at communicating vision for your team. These are the qualities that make you a good leader. Very often, the extroverts may connect better with the extroverts. The introverts may connect better with the introverts. And you have to learn how to read a room, for example, so that you can adapt your own style sometimes to meet the room. And sometimes you can lift up your energy, and sometimes you let it down depending on who you're talking to. And so don't worry if you're an introvert or an extrovert. I am an introvert, and yet you wouldn't know it. And some of the best leaders I know are quiet and socially awkward, but they're brilliant because they've studied the qualities of what it means to be a good leader. So just put aside that introvert-extrovert thing. You'll be a great leader no matter what.
That's great advice, Simon, for all of our introverts and extroverts out there. Now, the next question is from Tiffany, who's from the Philippines, and she's asking, how can we seamlessly apply the infinite game mindset within the dynamics of business development and sales, where there's monthly quotas, quarterly financial reports, and short-term goals to achieve? Is there, in fact, a new way we should be looking at success and goal achievement?
Well, the simple answer is there is a new way we should be looking at success and goal achievement. The problem is it also depends on senior leadership to make those changes. The reality is it is hard to be a true infinite-minded player if you're working in a company that is obsessed with the finite game, that cares only about its quarterly sales numbers, and every incentive inside the organization is simply based on short-term financial goals. It is difficult. Now, it's not impossible. What it means you can do is you can practice infinite mindset with your team. You can practice those qualities of good leadership. But the good news is I think that there's a momentum that's pushing against pushing away from some of the ways we've been building our businesses for the past 30 and 40 years. We're seeing the ways of Jack Welch go away. There's a movement that rejects shareholder supremacy and short-termism. We know that it damages companies over the long term and it damages economies over the long term. And we're still in a period of flux and change, still a period of stress as we're making those conversions in our companies. So keep practicing, because there will be more and more infinite-minded companies out there for you to join. Some companies have been very public about it. Airbnb, for example, Sweetgreen, for example. These are just some of the companies that have publicly declared that they want to be infinite-minded. You're starting to hear it in some of the more forward-thinking venture capital firms talking about how they want to take an infinite-minded approach and even build infinite-minded companies in the companies they invest in. So the good news is the world is moving in the direction we want it to move, but you may be frustrated if you are indeed working for a company that is obsessed with the finite game.
Thanks, Simon. Yes, very encouraging, and let's hope there's many more organisations embracing the infinite mindset. Now, our next question is from Ivy from Singapore. She asks, how can we continue to build a strong workplace culture in this new hybrid way of working?
So one of the things that people don't realize and sort of neglected when we went to sort of a more online workplace is that it actually requires more work to maintain relationships, not less work. Trust, we talked about trust before. Trust is what happens between the meetings. It's the innocuous little, hellos we say to people in the hallway. It's the, oh, I meant to tell you something. It's knocking on someone's door and saying, can I borrow a minute? Or do you want to grab a coffee? Or do you want to grab lunch? And all of these little things over the course of time start to build relationship and build trust. The chatter walking into the meeting, the chatter walking out of the meeting is where the real trust is built. With an online world, we only have the meeting. We have none of the in-between stuff. And so one of the things we have to do is actually inject it artificially. So for example, a Monday morning huddle where the whole team comes together online, not to talk about work, but simply to talk about what's on your heart and what's on your mind. It's purely human. It's a human being call, not a human doing call. Things like that have to be very prescriptive and artificial. The prescription of somebody in a leadership position responsible for a team to take the time to call people and check in on them, even if they're doing well. Some people compensate for stress by working harder, so their performance might be up, but they're actually really struggling. And so a good leader is going to just check in on people, where before we would see them walking in the hallway and there's something wrong, they look a little stressed, we can stop them. So it's got to be more prescriptive. In the new hybrid world, again, I want those new skills to remain, not only because we are living in a hybrid world, but it also makes us more aware of the people with whom we work.
Exactly right, Simon. We really need to fine-tune that intuition that used to be a little bit easier in the non-hybrid workplace. Now, our next question is from Jack. She's also in Singapore, and she would love to know what you're reading right now, Simon.
So I have a pile of books on my bedside table, but I'll make an admission to you, which is I actually struggle to read. I have a case of ADHD. There are others like me, maybe who have dyslexia or other things, that it makes it hard for me to read. And so as much as I love the idea of reading and I buy a lot of books, I actually struggle to get through them. The way I learn is by talking to people and listening to people. And so, it's sort of a funny thing that I'm an author, that I've written many books, and yet I don't read as much as I wish I could. I've only started sort of talking about this because I realize there's a lot of people like me who also struggle to read. So I watch a lot of documentaries, and I ask people, have you read this book? And I get to learn about what a lot of these books are about by talking to friends, quite frankly. There are some books that I want to read. There's a whole bunch of books about sort of human stress and conspiracy theories that I find fascinating. There's a book that I bought called Survival of the Friendliest, which basically proposes that we got Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest wrong. That when he said fittest, he didn't necessarily mean strongest. He meant the ones best able to cooperate. And it's the most cooperative in a team that actually are more likely to survive. So I look forward to meeting someone who's read that book so I can learn more about it.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you, Chinyin. It has been an absolute privilege to have this conversation with both of you today. And for me, one of the points that really resonated was the importance of maintaining focus on resilience and empathetic leadership. Resilience is all about adaptability, having plans in place for something that we can't predict, and then leading our teams with empathy and courage and growing our resilience through service to others. I really, really enjoyed this discussion. Thank you. And I just want to, any last words of advice from either you or Chinyin? Maybe we can start with you.
I was thinking about, the infinite mindset. I think about infinite appetite, because the way I tell my team about focusing on the positive side of life is to look at the donut and not the hole. So everybody keep focusing on the donut.
Fantastic. And Simon, thoughts from you?
You have to remember, as human beings, we're not that strong. We can't lift heavy weights or solve complex problems by ourselves, but together we are remarkable. Together we are our own best hope. So let's all commit to taking care of each other, which takes care of ourselves and takes care of the organization and the team and the mission.
The donut I will remember, and we are our own best hope. Absolutely things I'll be reflecting on for a while. Thank you both. Thank you for this time. Wendy, back to you.
Such an inspirational discussion. I hope you've enjoyed this and all of our other incredible speakers today. Now, before we go, we'd love to know what you think. Tell us by taking our survey. You can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Thank you for spending your time with us today. This year, we have continued in this region to depend on all of us working together to succeed together. And so having this opportunity to come together today is really special. And now it's time to enjoy some celebration. Here to entertain us is our very talented special musical guest, Nathan Hartono. Nathan, take it away.
All right, what is up, everybody? My name is Nathan Hartono. If you've seen me before, it's good to see you again. Thanks for having me back. And if it's the first time we're meeting, hello there, wherever you are in the world. Thanks so much for joining. I'm gonna play a bunch of songs for you, the first one of which is called Simple. It's a song about keeping things just a little easier in a world that's getting very complicated. So here you go.
Cause it's so simple to love you. Oh, when it's scary and you wanna let go. Oh, I'll jump so simple to love you. And it's so simple to love you. 'Cause it's so simple to love you. And just because I keep it simple doesn't mean it won't get tough. And when I look into the future, I can't seem to see it far enough. No, I'm not looking for the answers. I know I haven't got a clue, yeah. But if we wanna keep it simple, I'll just keep on loving you. Nah, 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 no. No, I'll just keep on loving, 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 loving you. 'Cause it's so simple to love you. 'Cause it's so simple to love you. 'Cause it's so simple to love you. Yeah, yeah, yes, it's so simple to love you. Yes, it's so simple to love you.
Thank you so much. Oh, wow, we got an audience in here. Alrighty. It's wonderful to be back once again. Thank you so much for having me. That was a song called Simple. And the next song we have coming up for you is another one of mine called Didn't We? And I wrote this song kind of, at the height of all the stuff that just happened in the last 2 years. We don't want to remember that. But it was written in a time of a lot of reminiscence, of like wanting to relive, some very, very special times in a time that did not feel very special. And I think, the further away we get from it, the more I can relate to it on just like a normal level. So this is a song called Didn't We?
Long drives, bleeding in deep into the late night. Do you remember the times? 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 Thank you very much.
Okie dokie. All right, this last song that we have for you is an older one of mine that I wrote when I was 17 and thinking a lot about love. And because I was 17 and not very complicated, the name of this song is called Thinking About Love. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, hey!
Why are the stars getting so heavy? They keep on falling from the sky, creating this magic between us, making you think, give it a try. Now wait just a minute, now you got me thinking about love. Don't understand it, but nobody does. Now wait just a minute, now you got me thinking about love. Don't understand it, but nobody does. Why are your steps getting so conscious as you walk into your room? Whoa, yeah, asking me to come and follow. Or is it too early to assume? And now wait just a minute, now you got me thinking about love. I don't understand it, but nobody does. And now wait just a minute, now you got me thinking about love. I don't understand it, but nobody does. Come on, Fahar. The time for asking is over. The time for living is now. This is a limited offer. Let me show you how. The time for asking is over. The time for living is now. This is a limited offer. Let me show you how. Now wait just a minute. Now you got me thinking about love. Don't understand it, but nobody does. Now wait just a minute, now you got me thinking about love. Don't understand it, but nobody does. Don't understand it, but nobody does. I won't try to hide it, 'cause nobody.
Thank you guys so much. My name is Nathan Artono. That is Fahan on the trumpet and the keys, Kenny on the bass. Thank you, Salesforce, for having me once again. Have a great day, y'all.